Hi my loves, what is up? Welcome back to my English channel. Today's video I'm gonna explain how I learned Portuguese. So before I get into the video, don't forget to give me a thumbs up. It really helps me out, and subscribe to the channel to become part of the fam. So I did this video on my Portuguese channel and it was really well received, sort of. My video was how I learned Portuguese. Yes, I'm a Gringa. I was born here in Canada and I've lived here my whole life. I only lived 1 year in Brazil. So a lot of people are always interested to find out how I learned Portuguese. A lot of people tell me that I look Gringa, that I don't look very Brazilian, even though there are a lot of Brazilians that look like me that are of German and Polish descent. But I always get that. You look like a Gringa. And on my Portuguese channel, I was also getting a lot of comments like, you speak Portuguese really well, but you kind of have a little accent that's off, like a Gringa accent. So I decided to do a video on my Portuguese channel explaining why, because I kept getting so many comments like, your Portuguese is good, but are you Gringa? And then when I do this video, everyone's like, you're lying, you're not Gringa, you speak Portuguese fluently, you speak Portuguese amazing. So I got all these amazing compliments and I was like, oh, thank you so much, I'm so happy. I've been like studying my butt off to speak Portuguese really well, so I was so happy that I was well received and people were telling me that I didn't even have a Gringa accent. I was so proud of myself. I was like, oh my god, I've been studying for the longest time. I didn't expect that, but yeah, anyways, a lot of people are accusing me of lying and being like, you're Brazilian, you're not Gringa. Well, yes I am. A lot of people basically wanted to tell me what my nationality was, because I was born in Canada, but my mom is Brazilian, so I'm half Brazilian. My dad is Polish, and I'm super proud of both of my cultures, and I'm really proud of my Brazilian culture. I'm so glad that my mom helped me with my Portuguese, because ever since I was little, she's always talked to me in Portuguese. So that's basically how I got a base on it, on learning Portuguese. But people wanted to tell me what my nationality is because they're like,
your mom's Brazilian, you're the child of an immigrant, you're not Canadian.
Excuse me? No, that's not how it works. There was someone who's from Japan and they're like, my son was born in Japan, but he's not recognized as Japanese. He's recognized as Brazilian because of me. Well, honey, in Canada, it's not that way. And if you come to Canada and do that, a lot of people are gonna wanna kick your butt. So I was born here, and people of, even if your parents are immigrants, you're born in Canada, you're recognized as a Canadian, and I'm proud to be recognized as a Canadian. I'm proud to be called a Canadian. And nationality, sometimes it doesn't come down to where you're born. There's a lot of people that are born somewhere, but then they move somewhere else and they live their whole life in another country. But I was born and raised here, so I have that Canadian culture, that Canadian mind, that Canadian feeling. And that's why I call myself Canadian. So I thought that comment was really offensive. I am super proud of my roots. Like I said, a lot of people attacked me for saying that I wasn't proud of my roots because I call myself Canadian. No, I call myself half Brazilian, half Polish. I have Brazilian blood, Polish blood, and I'm super proud of both cultures, like I said. And it seems like you have to repeat yourself a billion times because people just don't understand when you explain things. So anyways, I got a base in Portuguese because of my mom. She always spoke to me at home, and I would respond back to her, and my dad ended up learning Portuguese with us because I would talk to my Polish father in Portuguese. When I went into school at the age of 4 or 5 though, I stopped responding in Portuguese and I would respond in English. My mom was really good. She kept teaching me about, she would always tell me things in Portuguese, so I still would hear it, but I would not speak it. And to tell you the truth, I was really embarrassed as a kid. I would see like all my friends, they had Canadian parents, or their parents would speak in English to them. And I was just kind of like, why is my mom speaking Portuguese? This is weird. I want to fit in. I want her to speak in English. Nowadays, I look back and I'm like, oh my god. Like, I didn't know because I was a kid, but I was just like, I'm so glad that she taught it to me. Because I think it's really sad too. For example, my dad didn't teach me his language. So I get really sad about that. And I see so many other kids here in my city, because it's so multicultural, that have parents from different countries, but they're also not taught their language. And then it's sad. Like, you could have had the opportunity to learn another language because it's easier when you're younger and you're a kid. So I'm really glad that my mom pushed that on me. But anyways, I would not respond in Portuguese, so I lost the speaking of it. But I always got to hear it at home. The first time I went to Brazil, I was 9 years old. We stayed for 4 months. It was an amazing experience. I got to see the Brazilian culture, learned more about the food. Even though my mom would cook us Brazilian food, in the country, you learn more. My Portuguese in 4 months, I was a young kid still, so I learned so much and it was amazing. It was such a good experience and I fell in love with Brazil. The next time we went to Brazil, so I came back to Canada and came back to Canadian life and would speak in English, my mom in Portuguese. So again, I lost that speaking of Portuguese that I had in Brazil, but I always had the listening through my mom. Then at the age of 17, we went back to Brazil for a 3-week vacation. I fell in love with it, the lifestyle, everything. And I wasn't sure what I wanted to do in university, so I was like, okay, when I finish my high school, I have like 1 year left, I'm gonna go live in Brazil and study Portuguese. And that's what I did. I went to Brazil and I lived there for a year and I studied Portuguese. So I lived in 2 states, in Bahia and Minas Gerais, and I would go to, my family helped me get like courses in universities there, and I would basically go to these courses every day, study grammar, vocabulary, literature, and day to day I was living with my mom's family, so living that Brazilian culture, which was amazing. It was an amazing year. I came back to Canada to do my university degree, but this time when I came back to Canada, I was like, I don't want to lose what I learned in Brazil, and even though I'm not in Brazil anymore, I want to keep improving it. I want to get rid of this Gringa accent as much as I can, and that's what I did. I came back to Canada, I made so many Brazilian friends, I would listen to Brazilian music, watch Brazilian shows and movies, I would read Brazilian sites online, and I would also read Brazilian books, because when I was in Brazil, I would just buy books and read them, and every time I went to visit, I would go every year doing my university and buy books and just keep practicing and making friends and practicing all the time. So that really helped me out because my husband is Brazilian, so right now at home I practice all the time, but he's taught me a lot about his culture because he's from a different state than my mom's family is from. So at home we speak in Portuguese, so that just helps me improve more and more and get used to pronunciation and everything. But my Portuguese was at a level that before I met my husband, if it wasn't what it was, me and him wouldn't have gone together because he's really insecure about English. So yeah, my Portuguese actually helped me get with my husband too, which he says all the time, which is awesome. If you have any other questions or comments, you can put them down in the comments and I would love to hear them. Just please don't try to decide what my nationality is. I know what it is. I don't need anyone to decide it for me. And I'm proud of all of my nationalities too. I think I've made that really clear. I'm just really glad that I had the opportunity to have Portuguese in my life, and I'm really glad that I went after it and studied a lot. So if there's any other gringos out there that are studying Portuguese, I hope my story has maybe helped you or inspired you more. And also any Brazilians that are learning English too, keep at it, don't give up, just push yourself, push yourself. That's what I've done with Brazilian Portuguese. Então espero que vocês tenham gostado do vídeo. Amo vocês, beijão. Bye. I hope you guys liked the video. Sorry guys, I just wanted to put that Portuguese in the end of the video. Thank you guys so much for watching. Don't forget to give a thumbs up and subscribe. Love you guys. Mwah. Bye.